All right, guys, it is part two, stage two. Let's get into it, explaining everything you need. All right, guys, we are at part two, explaining everything you need for stage two. So, with stage two, this is a little bit more power than before. Like I said before, that they were stages to it: stage one, stage two, stage three. You got stage two and stage two plus. That's what we're talking about today. So, like I said before, for stage one, for any stage, I highly recommend a lower motor mount. It is a must for these cars because we do have wheel judder, and that eliminates it whether you do the lower one in the top insert, but it is a need. Two, for stage two, tires. So you can still rock the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's that come with the car, but I recommend you get something a little wider. Stock on this car comes with a 245 series 19, I believe a 245 35 19. You want just a little bit more grab, so I recommend going to 265. That's what I have on this car. Let me show you. And this is a 265. It does not poke. It actually sits really nicely on the car. As you can see, 265 35, and I went down to 18, so that helps out. And with that, it's just going to give you a little extra grip when it comes to coming off those dead stops. So when you want a little bit more hooking room, go for the wider tire. With that out the way, stage two. This is where things get a little bit more intensive and you start spending just a tad bit more money. Number one, stage two, if you want everything to go smoothly, you can do the high pressure fuel pump. So 6 and N75 just came out with a high pressure fuel pump that is good for up to 400 horsepower. It's 33% more flow over the Sonata pump. The Sonata pump you can get for around 200 to 300 bucks, and that is off a 15 to 17 Sonata Sport. You just throw that on here and bam, you're good for 360. And then this one that is coming out, I believe it's out, it may be out as we speak, that one is good for up to 400 horsepower. So that one is going to range from about 5 to 600, maybe 400. I'm not exactly sure. I'll put it right here. But that fuel pump is going to change the game. So with that being said, with these stage twos, you're going to want to get that high pressure fuel pump if you want everything to go smoothly. You want the full power band to go without dropping off or dipping off. So that just means smoother power, more power, better power. So stage two will get you at the 320 to 350 range. If you do stage two plus, you could possibly get that 360 out, 370 with that new pump. Before, our limits were around 355, 360 horsepower. That's with that fuel pump if you don't do any other mods. And that's, I mean, like no water meth injection. So if you do E30, you might be able to squeeze out like 360, 365 depending, or boosting, but you will be capped at that only because of the fuel pump. So fueling is the main issue when it comes to Elantra ends. You do have a way around that, but we'll get into that, and that's another video. But the water meth injection, which I have, is amazing and will send you soaring through the ceiling of the fuel that we have. So like I said, fuel pump, the high pressure fuel pump, it is very easy to install. I've done a few of them for a few people. It takes not even 5 to 10 minutes, honestly. You just take out one of the fuses, let it die out. Then you go into your engine bay, take off the engine cover, take off the little grommet, take off, I believe, the PCV or one of the hoses, and it's 2 bolts there, a few clips, and it's off. So it's super easy. I highly recommend it for anyone who's going more than stage one. It is a must. It just makes the power smoother and better. More reliable power is happy power. So like I said before, that gets you from a no mod, let's say 330, pushing it to about 350, 360. That's what I had before. and I was doing pretty good with that 350 horsepower, that stage 2. So I have a video of a few runs that I did with it, as you can see right here. And let me tell you, it was not bad. So at that time, that was the DCT car that I had. That car had a intake and it had the inlet, I believe. And later on, I did the downpipe, and that car was moving pretty good for what it was. So I believe that that tune was right around 340 to 350 horsepower, and that was with the high pressure fuel pump from the Sonata that I had in there. So that car was riding really good. It felt really strong, really good power, and I feel like that was the sweet spot, because when you have a DCT, you have to be careful when you start getting to those crazy torque numbers, a little bit more, let's say upwards of 380 to 400 wheel torque. That's when you start getting a little bit of slip. Now at that time, that car was able to keep up with cars that had much more horsepower than it. As you can see right here, this is going to be a full bolt-on Golf R, full bolt-on stage 2. He was on 93, and we're able to keep up with him and even beat him on the top end. I'll leave that right here. Look at this. And so you see, it really does not take much for these cars to really get moving. You have to do your brake boosting and all that stuff. So next, when it comes to stage 2, one thing that I recommend is the downpipe. Now the downpipes range anywhere from 400 all the way up to about 900 bucks. That's with the cat. If you want the cat list, like I said, you'll be at that lower range, that 400 to 500. I have the main tech. I've had main tech both times. So I had the main tech and the DCT, and I had it in the manual, and it was just a great downpipe. It was a big 3-inch, went down to a 2.5. You might want to cut the 2.5 part and put like a 3-inch there, so you have just a bit more flow and do it with a full 3-inch exhaust. Another thing I would recommend, which is a slept on mod, is very, very slept on, but it helps out. And I know I talk about this and I haven't done it. The exhaust, the muffler, believe it or not, traps a lot of power, especially on the top end. If you take off those mufflers, you'll free up about, in your quarter mile, about 2.5 miles an hour on the top end. This is something that I plan to do, as right now we are the current holder for a 60 to 130 on stock turbo. For manual, we're on 93, and we got a I believe I posted the 10.3. I didn't do the 10.0, but we're doing good in this car, and I don't have the exhaust yet, but I tell you, if you guys do the exhaust, the sky's the limit. You would push way past that 10.0. You get way better times. Right now, I think that is a really, really good mod, getting any of the exhaust systems. You got the AFE, you got the boiler. There's a few others out there. I think I'm going to be going with the AFE. I think it's a great exhaust to have. Actually, 6 is coming out with the new Y pipe. They just call it the Y exhaust. I really want that, so we're going to see if we can get that on here and get sound clips when it does come out. So like I said, that is a hidden mod, that really slept on mod that people should have when you start going upwards of that stage 2. So it's really going to shine. Another thing is cold pipes and intercooler is a pretty good mod. It's not a must, but if you live in the hot climates, the intercooler I feel like is a must for you. So if you live in that California, Arizona, Florida, any of those hotter climate states, I recommend you getting a intercooler if you're not running meth. And hell, if you are running meth, I still recommend it. So I don't have one on this car, but I will get one soon. I think it's a great mod. It doesn't really add power, but you will see the power stay there as you're getting on it. So no drop off because of the IATs. Next, I think a really good mod would be the injectors. So this car does have the injectors. It is the same Sonata injectors, the 2015-2017 Sport 2.0, and that just allows a bit more fuel. Right away when I did the injector install, it felt great. I saw the pressure shoot up. The rail pressure was even higher than it was before, and that is something that you want for, like I said, smoother power, reliable power, and you will get going with that. Now, these things aren't a need, but like I said, it's just better for smoother power, and it will really get you going. So if you got those two things going for you, the Sonata fuel pump with the Stage 2 Plus, you definitely will see that 370, possibly 380 wheel horsepower. And like I said, this is where you start to get a little tricky with the DCT when you start globbing torque. So it depends on what tune you get, if you want something more for top end, something more for bottom end, or if you're just going off the shelf, then these are things that you're going to want to look out for if you have a DCT, because it will cause slight slip, and it's not something that will just destroy the transmission, but over time it will put a lot of stress on it. So you just want to keep in mind, not too much power, but the DCT tune is coming out, so they will have a TCU tune coming out shortly. I believe N75 and 6 is working on it, but for now you can get the clutches, and the clutches you can put in the trans. I don't know how labor intensive that is, but you can put that in and then you won't have any issues. You'll be fine. But like, I know if you're going turbo upgrade, you know, you got to keep the boost down because those DCTs. That's why we have the manual. So again, guys, if you want that higher end power, just go ahead and try and get those injectors or high pressure fuel pumps, just to make sure, you know, these things together might cost you upwards of $600-700, but it is a nice insurance that makes sure your car runs as smooth as possible, no hiccups, no cuts, no issues whatsoever, and your car will be pulling hard, trust me. So if you want just a bit more fun and you want that Stage 2 or Stage 2 Plus, that's what you go for. So again, you want guaranteed, you want to get the inlet. If you don't at least get the inlet, at least do the downpipe, and you can go straight to Stage 2 with the high pressure fuel pump, and that's a guarantee of 350-360 horsepower, and you will be in a good spot. If you decide to go the full bolt-on route, then you can still go to the Stage 2 Plus. That's a bit more, but these cars do not need all these bolt-ons if you're trying to make that power. So the things that make a big difference, I'm gonna tell you right now: the inlet, more throttle response, not more power. The downpipe, more power, more throttle response, more sound. You're gonna feel like you're going so much faster. The intercooler is just going to keep that straight power. The intake is for the sound, not power. It was proven that it actually did not add much power at all. It was like maybe 2 horsepower, nothing, but it's the sound. You can hear it. It sounds amazing. The charge pipes, that's just more intake air. You're not going to really feel it, but it's something that could help. So when it comes to the lines of these things, this is what you look for. Expect to spend upwards of around $2,000-2,500 for everything that you need if you're going Stage 2 or Stage 2 Plus. So that's what you're looking at there. So next, let's get into Stage 3, and that gets a little bit more tricky. That's your water meth. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.